On June 16th, the Buckeye City Council approved the adoption of the city's tentative budget for fiscal year 2020-2021. Since February, each city department has worked to prepare their budget for the 2020-2021 fiscal year budget. Adoption of the final budget is scheduled for July 7th at the regularly scheduled City Council meeting. Due to social distancing restrictions, the council chambers are currently closed to the public, but residents can live stream the audio of the meeting on the city's YouTube channel. You can also provide written comments on either the tentative or final budget by filling out the form at buckeyeaz.gov/budget. Buckeye is focusing on solid, long-term financial planning to ensure our residents continue receiving the services they expect now and in the future. The past few months have presented the city with numerous challenges to overcome, primarily related to the coronavirus pandemic. The full financial impact of COVID-19 might not be known for several more months, and with that in mind, we are recommending a conservative approach for the fiscal year 2020-2021 budget. The strategy for this year's budget is to plan as if our revenues will be as they were in previous years, but to cap our expenditures and build up our reserves by following these key budgeting practices. Use conservative revenue estimates. Allocate the $9.1 million in CARES Act Arizona Together funds Buckeye receives into the city's reserve fund and use for COVID-19 related uses. Recommended for this year is to combine options 1 and 2 presented at the May 19 workshop, which is to plan as if our revenues will be as they were in previous years, but to cap our expenditures and build up our reserves. New staffing positions frozen until we are more certain about revenues and discussion with the City Council. Budget for a full year of cost of living, but not allocate it on July 1. Instead, City Management will provide flexible options to Council for discussions. Maintain adequate reserve funding and build in contingencies. Invest in the future. 85 capital improvement projects. Utilize the construction transaction privilege tax and fund reserves only for capital projects or one-time expenses. Buckeye's annual budget begins on July 1st of each year and runs through June 30th of the following year. Buckeye's overall city budget for fiscal year 2020-2021 is just under $330 million. This includes approximately $151 million for ongoing capital projects, $123 million to meet operating expenses, $43 million in the fund balance from last fiscal year, and $12 million in contingency funds. The budget balances the amount of expenses needed to operate the city with the amount of projected revenue, or income, the city receives from a variety of sources. This table and pie chart both show there are approximately 11 different expense areas that make up the city's overall budget. The table compares the difference in each expense from fiscal year 2019-2020 to fiscal year 2020-2021, while the pie chart shows the percentage and amount of expenses expected for fiscal year 2020-2021. The 11 different expense areas fall into 6 different categories. This table and pie chart show how the money is spent in each category throughout the fiscal year. Buckeye continues to invest in our future with 46% of the city's expenses designated for capital improvement projects. Capital improvement projects improve and create new public facilities and infrastructure throughout the city. New facilities include things like new fire stations, libraries, and parks. Infrastructure projects are comprised of street and intersection improvements and water and sewer projects. While we are projecting revenues as if this were a normal year, we are capping expenditures and building up a reserve fund that will only be expended as revenues become available. Funding the operation of the city and capital projects requires income from a variety of sources such as sales taxes, license and permit fees, property taxes, state shared revenues, bonds, and grants. Our general fund revenues are the largest sources of city revenues, and the uses for our general fund are the largest source of expenses. The general fund is estimated to be a total of $90 million for this fiscal year, plus $42 million in the beginning fund balance. Some of the key sources for the city's general fund includes $39.7 million in transaction privilege tax, $36 million in state shared revenues, the city's portion of state income tax, state sales tax, vehicle license fees, gasoline tax, and the AZ CARES Fund for COVID-19, $15 million in building permits, $10.5 million in primary property taxes. The city's primary property tax rate is $1.78 per $100 of net taxable value, which is slightly less than it has been for the past 7 years. $4 million for franchise fees and leases. The pie chart shows the amount of income or revenue projected for fiscal year 2020-2021. Remember, we are projecting revenues as if this were a normal year. We are capping expenditures and building up a reserve fund that will only be spent if revenues become available. Currently, Buckeye has approximately $3 million in general fund capital projects underway with existing contracts, other formal agreements, or outside funding sources. These projects are required to be completed to fulfill the city's obligations. A few examples include $476,000 for intersection improvements at Jackrabbit Trail and Indian School, $397,000 for expansion of the Park and Ride, $385,000 for street improvements on Watson Road from MC 85 to Southern, $300,000 to complete construction of the Police Evidence Building. There are an additional $13 million in general fund capital projects proposed if the revenues become available. Some of these projects also include funding from outside sources. A few projects in this category include $3.3 million for improvements on 247th Avenue from Yuma to Lower Buckeye, $2.2 million for Sundance Park Phase 2, $1.2 million for the Aquatic Center parking expansion, $460,000 for the design of the Festival North Library and Community Center. Last fiscal year, we borrowed $64 million from the Water Infrastructure Finance Authority for the continued construction of the Broadway Roadwater campus. The project is expected to be completed in early 2022. This is a significant portion of the capital project funds for this coming fiscal year. Water funds are self-sustaining, and the fund is designed to recover the costs for business through user fees and charges. However, any new or additional water or sewer capital projects will not start unless the revenues are available. A few of these projects include $3 million for the construction of a commercial water line at the Buckeye Airport, $1.8 million in upgrades in the wastewater headworks and festival, $1.4 million for improvements at Water Treatment Plant No. 5, $1.2 million to begin construction of the Farallon Water Campus, $1.2 million for improvement at Water Treatment Plant No. 9. The financial challenges facing Buckeye for the fiscal year 2020-2021 are similar to other neighboring cities, but Buckeye is also unique with a 7.1% increase in population last year. Buckeye will continue focusing on meeting our residents' needs while balancing conservative revenue estimates, limiting spending, and ensuring we have solid reserve funding to utilize if needed. Our goal is to continue improving services to our residents, enhancing and maintaining the city's infrastructure while ensuring fiscal wellness, financial flexibility, and accountability to you and our residents. We'd love your input on this year's budget. You can ask questions and provide comments on either the tentative or final budget by filling out the form at buckeyeaz.gov/budget.